Do you believe in destiny? Huh? Where did that come from? Just humor me. Do you believe in destiny? I guess that depends on what you mean. Perhaps I should ask in a less obtuse way. Do you believe that your future is fated, bound to happen no matter what? Of course not. The only one in charge of my life is me and me alone. Well, I, for one, disagree. Belief that we have any control over what will happen is simply the arrogance of humans. I suppose you would call me a predeterminist. I'm not familiar with the term. Basically, it's the belief that since everything in the past already exists, and everything in the world moves on a cause and effect basis, everything in the future has to happen. The world's deck is shuffled, as it were, and all that's left is to deal out the cards one by one. Any semblance of free will that we have, well, it's more of a coping mechanism than anything else. Your genes and history were decided without your input, and like it or not, those two factors really make the decisions. Damn, that's a bleak way of looking at things. I actually think of it as a good thing. Whether or not I'm in control of myself doesn't really matter to me. I'd easily trade that away for the benefits predetermination provides. Benefits? Another question. Have you ever heard of Laplace's demon? Actually, seeing as you hadn't even heard of predestination, I suppose the answer is rather obvious. Laplace's demon is a hypothetical creature created by Pierre-Simon Laplace in 1814. This demon of his is quite the clever creature. It knows the precise location and momentum of every single atom in the whole wide universe. As if that wasn't enough, the demon's so clever that, based on the information it has, it can predict where those atoms were and where they'll go. If this demon really existed, it could accurately recount every single historic event, regardless of location or time period. And if it existed, it could predict every single thing that was yet to come with 100% accuracy. I'm not saying the benefits you were talking about. Well, obviously this example is extreme, but in a more controlled setting, geniuses can function much like Laplace's demon. Through careful analysis of the past, of cause and effect, probable futures can be gleaned. Think. Humans are no more than fleshy wind-up toys. Think. Peer into the coding, the uttermost mechanics, the clockwork within their minds. Think. Become a demon, play with toys, control the future. Just a note of curiosity. And we go immediately from that nameless discussion at the start to Mouse waking up. The Jade Emperor wore a mask which completely covered his face, as well as a green hoodie, jeans, and some gloves. Doesn't look like he's wearing gloves. Couldn't help but notice that by his left hand I could see part of a butterfly tattoo sticking out. Welcome one and all to the Zodiac Race, or rather, the Zodiac Trial. I am the host of this event. You may call me the Jade Emperor. You all, if you have not yet realized, will be the 12 Zodiac animals who will compete in my race. I knew it. You might ask why you are animals. There are a number of good answers to this question, but to put it simply, you all live your lives with the awareness of animals. You go about, day by day, without a goddamn care in the world. Peacefully moving onwards, never stopping back to reflect or apologize for your sins. Your murder. Sins? What are you talking about? Oh, don't even pretend you don't know, you filthy, glory-hungry liar. You see, perhaps not all of you know it, but the 12 of you were the jury of a particular trial. Of course, you weren't the actual jury. I don't blame them. What I mean is that each of you made selfish or stupid choices. Each of you were complicit. Each of you decided to help hang an innocent man for a murder he did not commit. And this idea you all have, that you just get to walk away from that and not look at what you've done, it's sickening. It's not fair. You all deserve a chance to be punished. You all must be tried. So this is what we're doing today. A Zodiac Trial. A trial? Do you mean to say there's going to be a case against us or something? Perhaps my word choice has given off the wrong impression. Initially I had an idea more similar to that. However, I think instead we shall settle this with a race. A race fitting for the beasts you are. What are the rules for this race? Finally, someone is asking the proper questions. Please take a look at this display. As you can see, your 12 animals are lined up on the left, going from top to bottom in the order they come on the calendar. We also notice that there are 24 spaces between the starting line for the animals and the end of it. The aim of this race is to use the tablets provided to move your animal to the finish line as quickly as possible. So that's what these are for. Before continuing, I think it would be pertinent to address a certain rule you all will likely find important. Each tablet may only be operated by its owner. Additionally, the owner must be alone in a room when using it. Well, that first rule has been proven to be a lie. If you operate your tablet with another person in the room, or if someone else operates your tablet, you will be instantly executed. Okay, never mind. It's not a lie. Executed? God damn it. A dismaying but expected announcement. What the fuck? Hey, asshole, you think you can kill me that easily? Oh, but I can. For you see, each of your necklaces are outfitted with a devious device. At the mere push of a button, knives on the inside of the collar will come out, cleanly slicing your necks open, leaving you to die. How does it feel, knowing that just like that, you could be executed? Dead? Feel fun? Is it enjoyable for you, scum? So we're going to die? No, you only push that button if we break your rules, right? There's a bit more to it than that, but you're right in that I won't kill you for no reason. There'd be no point to any of this if I was just a senseless murderer. No, I guarantee that if all of you behave appropriately, every single one of you can leave here alive. So what else do we gotta do to survive? The race will consist of 12 rounds. If no animals are able to get to the finish line at the end of the 12th round, all of you will be executed. Every round will last 45 minutes. All participants must take an action within those 45 minutes. If a participant does not take an action during a round, they will be executed. At the end of the round, the animals take their actions in order from the top of the screen to the bottom. Using that tablet, there are a few available actions to choose from. All animals are able to simply run. Choosing to run will move your animal one space forwards. You may also choose to use your animal ability. Each animal has their own ability which can help them win the race. Be sure to click the information button to learn what your ability does. Participants are also allowed to confess once per game. If you choose confess, then at the end of the round, when it is your animal's turn, you will be given an opportunity. You may use this 1-minute opportunity to give a meaningful confession to me. Afterwards, I will rate the effectiveness of the confession, and your animal may move anywhere from 0 to 5 spaces. What is that ranking judged on? Are you looking for most surprising? Worst thing done? Most emotionally delivered? What's the deal? I'm under no obligation to tell you that. Try it out for yourself if you're so curious. Finally, you can also choose to use an item. Throughout the school, I have hidden some things of practical use as well as items to be used in the race. The physical item will have a passcode on it. Input the passcode into your tablet to use it. Only one participant may use any given item per round. There are a total of 24 items in the school, a minor and major trinket for each animal. All animal minor trinkets are the same. Using it will move you a number of spaces equal to the number of other animals who used a minor trinket that turn. For example, if you use the mouse minor trinket by yourself, you will move one space forward. However, if you use the mouse minor trinket, a friend uses the ox minor trinket, and 2 enemies use the tiger and bunny minor trinkets, you'll all move 4 spaces. On the other hand, the major trinkets each have their own effect. You'll have to figure out what they do by finding them yourselves. Even though each animal has a minor and major trinket based on them, they're not exclusive to said animal. So if Dog wanted to use Pig's minor trinket, that's totally allowed. What a childish game for us to stake our lives on. It really makes you all seem small in comparison, doesn't it? Anyway, that is the essence of this race. At the end of each round, after all the animals have taken their actions, if any animals have made it to the finish line, the race will end. Those at the finish line will have their collars automatically unlock, and everyone else will be executed. No! What, seriously? How you choose to run the race is up to you. Who knows, maybe you'll all make it out alive. Although, if I had to guess, the slowest third will end up dead. Either way, I'll be satisfied. I truly do hope you let your true colors fly. Open up your hearts and think of this as Anubis's feather. Will you pass peacefully, or be devoured? Let judgment fall blindly and wisely. Round 1 begins now. Well, let's see what's in this bad boy. Reached my hand in and found a blanket of white cloth. Looking at it closer, there was a string of numbers on it. Wrapped in the cloth came an explanation of what this was. Sheep's clothing, sheep major trinket. Activate this item and become a copy of a separate contestant. This will replace your information with theirs. One-time use. So basically, whoever uses this can replace their ability with someone else's. It seems like that could be useful in the race. But it's not a minor trinket. No, it's not. Does that mean this was the failure of an exploration? Not at all. What's inside? It appears to be a bell? With an inscripted number on it. You forgot this piece of paper. The second call. Use this item and it will act identical to the last item. Oh, God. Of all the times to get fucking hiccups. It will act identical to the last item activated. A major trinket. It's an echoing effect. Basically can copy any other item being used. That means this is as good as if we found a minor trinket. Yeah, great work. Not bad. We spent quite a bit of time trying to solve this puzzle, but in exchange we found a minor trinket. If we kept at this rate, we'd be out of here at no time. Before round 4 begins, I have an announcement to make. What? There's an additional rule I have yet to inform you all of. A quirk of the race, if you will, that you all may be interested in. No doubt those of you who check the information tab will have noticed you each have a personality assigned. From the rat to the pig, each of your personalities are unique to you. Most of you probably dismissed that, and for most of you that was the right choice. However, for 2 of you, this personality is an incredibly important variable. Shit. First up, we'll talk about the accomplished personality. The accomplished personality wants to finish the race in first place, just like everyone else. However, this personality type isn't content in a big old shared victory. Okay, my theory is that this is Ox. With this personality to be satisfied, no more than 3 animals can tie for first. If this condition isn't satisfied, the animal with this personality will be treated as if they had lost. They will be punished accordingly. Wait, but that means... Are you kidding? That's crazy. No. The other personality to take note of is the weak personality. Unlike the other personalities, this personality doesn't actually wish to win the race. The animal with this personality wants to be in last place when the race finishes. If that happens, all animals except the one possessing the accomplished personality and the one possessing the weak will be executed. However, this caveat is not applicable if first place is a tie between 9 or more animals. What a farce. Does this guy think he's fucking with us? I apologize for not making these rules clear from the start. I fear you might think that this would have been good information to have from the start. And you know, you're absolutely right. Therefore, to make up for keeping this from you until now, This round will be extended by 15 minutes. Use that time to regroup. And as always, choose wisely. This couldn't be happening, right? There's no way. That bastard. There's no way that was unintentional. He let us foster a false sense of peace. And then when we were sure about our safety, he introduced this bullshit rule which forced our hands. Now, no matter what, at least 2 people would have to die. This couldn't be right. I thought he said that if we did everything right, everyone could escape. It was our fault for believing that psycho for 1 minute. Is he serious? Probably. And people are going to have to die, aren't they? Was that true? And what was the point of all this? It seemed to undermine everything Brian had said up until now. Unless... Wait a second, everybody. Mouse? There's something wrong here. What are you talking about? What was I talking about? Let's save the game. Those don't actually mean 2 people have to die. Oh, what? Mouse, I'm beginning to question your listening comprehension. Wasn't it pretty clear that the accomplished and weak personalities couldn't work with the rest of us? Correct. People with those personalities can't win with the group. So you're defeating your own point. No, I'm not. If those personalities are the problem, then let's just get rid of them. Can we do that? I saw no such rule. Well, I did. Sheep, Horse, and I found a major trinket which allows somebody to replace their information with another person's. Shit. At first I thought that this just meant they could steal somebody's ability. However, I now realize that it could also be used to override a personality. Hey, Mouse is right. That'll totally work. How intriguing. For real? Great thinking, Mouse. With this, there's a peaceful path ahead of us. Hold on. There's an issue. Why do you always have to be such a downer? If I remember, that trinket was one-time use. Which means we can only save 1 person. Seriously? Damn it. Even when it looks like there's a path to safety, it gets snatched away. It's right, Pig. Things are still under control. Because there's still a way to save everybody. Well then, let us hear it. Dog, Bunny, and I found another major trinket. That one allows you to reuse the last item that was inputted. In other words, it allows you to copy an item, not a personality. If we combine the 2, I believe I'm beginning to see the picture. Yes, this should work. Good thing, too. I'm not sure what I would have done if had there not been a solution like this. So that means... Correct. I have the accomplished personality. Had you not worked out a solution, Mouse, well, things would have gotten far more complicated for me. So I thank you for that. You're welcome. If this is really going to work, then I'll also admit that I'm the weak personality. But we can fix that, right? Of course we can fix it. With these items, we'll be able to work together as a team. Hooray! Yes, hurrah indeed. It was incredible how quickly the atmosphere morphed from one of defeat to accomplishment. There was a palpable feeling of positivity, like we had beaten Brian at his own game. We'd worked out a loophole in his design. Instead of turning against each other, we could all survive. For my part, I felt quite smug about piercing the whole thing together, but I tried to remain humble. Instead, I took out the major items to help coordinate things. We decided that Horse's ability and personality would be the safest to copy. 3 Hanses? Before long, Ox and Sheep returned from their classrooms, attesting that it had worked perfectly. It is fascinating, though. What is? The obvious plan for a team would be to search the entire school for minor trinkets. In that search, it is almost certain that we would have found both of these major trinkets. It would not take too much thinking to put the pieces together and save those with a special personality. So Brian was accurate when he said that this was a trial of our character. And he was truthful when he said we could all get out together. We were all really virtuous and level-headed. The accomplished and weak personality would out themselves and help the group search for trinkets. Then when the group found those 2 major trinkets, we would realize that everyone could survive. However, I wonder what would have happened had we not found those trinkets before the announcement even played. I think it not improbable that instead of banding together like that, things would have developed into chaos, resulting in very few of us surviving. What is the purpose of this thought experiment? I suppose there isn't one in particular. And let's get back to business. If there was always a way to survive, if we just remained virtuous and didn't succumb to that desperate desire to live, that desperate fear of death. Which, in a way, there are variations, of course, but in a way, it has been the motive. They all have their reasons for feeling that way, but at the core of it all, that's the motive of all the desperate personalities all the doomed personalities who have become killers. Seemingly out of nowhere. You might argue. I would disagree. In most cases. But this is the core of all of that. You set up a game which is possible to win without dying. Delayed the delivery of the doomed rolls till this far along. Not too far into the game. Far enough that we could have found the requisite puzzle pieces if we needed. But not far enough that we would pretty much be guaranteed to have them. If we've combed the entire school efficiently. Done that, and then essentially whether we all lived or we all started killing each other and devolving into chaos depended on how we handled this reveal. If the traitors outed themselves, then there's a chance that more people could survive. If they didn't, then entire bodies hit the floor. And if the traitors out themselves and help search, or out themselves and take themselves out of play, there's more of a chance that we could actually find the 2 trinkets we need to get this done and save them. Let's get back to business. We might have thwarted the Jade Emperor once, but let's not forget we're still in grave danger. We don't know what other tricks he may try. We still need to actually find the 12 minor trinkets. Give us an extra 15 minutes to try and sort things out, but it's definitely been longer than that. We need to get back to our search. Agreed. Let's split up again and search through the school. Yeah, we got this. Let's clear this game in style. My, what a festive mood. This morale should help our effectiveness. Or it'll make us complacent. Whatever, we need to start searching, let's start searching. And start searching we did. The group fanned through the school, turning over every room with great efficiency. And sure enough, we found a fair share of minor trinkets. One in a safe in the auditorium, another in the nurse's office, a third in the locked trophy case. It wasn't just minor trinkets, but major trinkets we found too. Blinders which shuffled everyone's positions on the board and made everyone's piece anonymous. A mousetrap which let you move backwards as much as you want. Oh! Rooster even found a pistol in a classroom on the 2nd floor. He did a lot of posing with it before Bunny confiscated it from him. Continued to update each other on our progress by meeting in the cafeteria at the end of each round. Then in the 6th round, I found something interesting in the computer lab on the 3rd floor. A cure for hiccups, apparently. One of the computer screens in the fourth row were open. Figured I should try checking it out. Looking at it, the screen had a PNG of a giant 9 minimized. Weird. Curious, I tried turning on a bunch of the other computers. Most of them were powered off, but 3 of them turned on, one in each row. The 3 that turned on were locked. They all needed a username and password. But I couldn't help but notice the fact that the profile picture of these 3 computers were all unique. The first was a picture of an ox. The second, a picture of a tiger. Third, a picture of a bunny. It couldn't be a coincidence. I tried the computer a bit more, providing a sign that seemed pertinent. How to start a computer. A guide. Username will be the owner's first name. Password will be their role. Possible roles. Tool, complicit, judge, killer. Oh. Note, capitalization matters. Tool, complicit, judge, killer. So bunny is killer. Tiger is probably tool? I know ox was corruption, but make him complicit or the judge? No, capitalization matters. What's the fourth computer? Yeah, this was definitely one of Brian's puzzles. I didn't quite get it, but I figured there was no harm in giving it a shot. I started with a computer with the ox on it. What was Ox's name? Davis, maybe? The username I input. Oh boy. Okay, good. Then for the password. Thought that might do it. However, the computer wouldn't budge. It's been wrong. Okay, hold on a second. This seems like a good point to save the game. But then a thought crossed my mind. Let's refer to another important date. October 10th, 10/11. Put my fingers on the keyboard. We're really thinking a lot. Yeah, with the date that Amadeus Bowen was murdered. Second thought, that was when all of this really started. Right, Brian? To answer my question, the computer unlocked. Yes. Now can you just contact the authorities? Nope. Figures. Why leave it here for us? Reasons for jury duty. 12 PDFs with various names. Jimmy Wilbert, Manuel Perez, Davis Caven. These for everyone here? But wait. Why didn't I see my own name anywhere? I found my answer in the name Richard Brill, a judge who passed away just over a week ago. The judge who ruled in the case against Brian's dad means I'm supposed to be here. Rest of these files, picked one at random. Davis Caven. It took a bit before I realized what this all amounted to. It appeared to be a loose collection of evidence highlighting corruption in the prosecutor's office at large, with many incidents connected to a specific person, specifically Ox. You could tell based on the picture. But did this mean Ox was some sort of crooked prosecutor? Nothing in this document would be conclusive evidence, but laid out like this, it certainly made a compelling case. Don't be stupid. Conspiracy theories sound convincing when all the evidence is gathered up in one place. What was Ox's name? Davis, maybe. We're starting to remember stuff from other routes. Username I input. Okay, good. Password. Thought that might do it. The computer wouldn't budge. And is Ox's name? Okay. Let's rewind. Tool, complicit, okay. Does that make him the tool then? Password? Yes, I got in. Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, we got to think back to Ox's route for this. Because when he was the tool, he was essentially he got Edgeworthed in this case. fed the corrupt evidence, put on the case. Before I looked at the computer, I went to the next one, the one with the tiger avatar. Tried to picture Tiger's name in my mind. Vaguely the name Zahara came to me. Is that the name of one of the witnesses? This computer's username I input. Did any of you ever hear did any of you hear about the story of Aliyah Abadi? The woman hid the children she had with another man from her husband. Her husband was on an extended vacation before and during the birth. And to keep them secret, she hid the kids in the basement of her house for years. I vaguely remember that. I remember hearing it as an example when I learned about laws surrounding abuse, specifically child abuse. She became infamous after the story broke and was sentenced to prison for years due to neglecting her children to the point where it was deemed malicious. Why do you bring that up? Well, I'm her daughter, Zahara Abadi. Honestly, I've never really cared about that story. I mean, we never remembered anything from that time. We were too young. For all we were concerned, the same as if we were adopted at a young age. We? Oh, me and my twin brother. Anyways, I've pretty much moved on from then. There's actually one thing from that time that stuck with me. Conditions surrounding how I see. The basement we were kept in was usually pitch black. Apparently, if a human's eyes don't take in enough light at a very young age, weird things can happen. For development, the rods and cones in my retinas weren't properly calibrated to skip a bunch of science talk. The end result is I distinguish between light and darkness, but I can't see detail. Think of it as an extreme version of color blindness. I can see the geometry of everything in this world, but it's all pretty much textureless. These results have been seen in mice and cats when they were experimented on. As far as I know, I'm the only human to ever have this condition. I guess that's the perk of such a weirdly unique upbringing. Calling it a perk of a unique upbringing is certainly a positive spin on the whole affair. That's incredible, Tiger. Username. Zahara. Okay, good. And for the password. So, Ox was tool. Zahara. Complicit, judge, or killer? Well, you could say she was complicit in that she seemed to have some sort of sponsorship deal with Amadeus Bowen, but we also have seen Brian's book report on her life. Say that. Again, I was met with success. It's almost there. One more computer to go. Went to the last computer, the one with the bunny profile picture, and tried to type in the username. What was Bunny's name? For some reason, Jerry came to me. Might that have been the lead cop's name? I didn't think it particularly pertinent before this, so I didn't bring it up. But I saw that there was an article ripped out and posted on the board in a global studies classroom. It talked about a controversial police shooting. The police officer in it apparently had very little justification for firing and killing a low-level felon who was later revealed to be unarmed. But ultimately, nothing came of it. That's talking about you, isn't it, Jerry Braxton? For real? That's you? I heard that story. Just another instance of the city system being completely fucked. Makes sense that this trash would be so open to reckless murder. Bunny? Nah. You should have been the one we called Pig. Pig. So. Jerry? Okay, good. Then for the password. Judge? Might do it, but it didn't budge. Okay. So. Complicit. I'd done it. I racked my brain hard. Remember the names of some of the people involved with that old case. Took some guesses and got through. But the results were slightly concerning. More importantly, I had gotten all the computers open. It was weird that the fourth computer was already open, and that there was still a word left unused. Judge. Had someone opened that computer already? Yeah, that didn't matter right now. What mattered was the fact that I had 3 computer screens to check. I checked all of them, and found the only thing on them, each of them, was an open.png file. We know that we were here to replace in place of the judge. So possibly that was the fourth role. First computer had a 2, second a 3, third a 4, 2, 3, 4, 9. Combining that with the 9 I had found earlier, it was a code of some sort. But for what? As soon as I checked the file names for all the images, I figured out what it was. Put together, it spelled Pig Minor Trinket. It was unorthodox, but I had gotten my hands on another minor trinket. Of course, Pig's minor trinket would be computer-based. Yes! My escapade had helped me make even more progress for the group. But I wasn't alone in finding trinkets. By the start of the 7th round, we had found 10 minor trinkets. It really looked like we were on a roll. However, it was at that point when we ran into a bit of a problem. So, hold on a second. We spent that entire round and we didn't find anything? That's, like, really bad, isn't it? We are starting to run out of time. It'd be an awful shame if we weren't able to find enough trinkets by the end. Would be, so why are you saying it like that? Like what? Whatever. I don't have time to deal with you. We've been rather methodical in our search up to this point, have we not? Nobody's been going over ground that's already been searched. We continue to look for trinkets in vain. Things could become quite vexing. You're telling me? We've already done a full tour of this place. What's next? Going back to places we've already seen? How dreary. Have some of y'all not been doing your fucking job? How hard is it to find these things? Perhaps they are being found, but simply not shared. What are you talking about? We are currently under the assumption that everyone is on the same page. However, it is possible. Oh, can it, would you, Snake? First of all, we only need one more trinket. I can use my ability to hitch a ride on one of you guys. I'm sure there have been places we haven't checked yet, so let's keep looking. I understand the concern. If mere 2 trinkets are out of reach, the entire enterprise falls apart. Not entirely unconvinced Brian forgot to label one of his minor trinkets. What are you talking about? Earlier I found something in the library which had the same shape and build as a trinket. There's nothing written on it. No code or anything. A blank trinket, huh? Was there anything else notable about the scene? Not really. There was a written message though that was odd. I have stolen blood from my kid. Oh, is this the red numbers on some of the trinkets? Some of you have pointed that out. I think that was first mentioned as a theory unto the code for the computer. I didn't really get it though. Stolen blood from my kin, huh? A thought crossed through my mind. Something that had stuck out like a sore thumb to me was the fact that certain minor trinkets had specific numbers written in red. Hey, everybody, could we pool our minor trinkets on the table right here? I want to try looking at all the ones we've got so far. I asked and the group complied. There were 3 instances of a number in a sequence being colored red. Once was on the 1st digit, once was on the 3rd, and once on the 4th. It seemed too important to be coincidental. The missing trinket had a red digit as well. That'd be 4 numbers. Like a 4-digit code. So what, was I supposed to just take whatever number was written in red and put that into place for an original 12th trinket? If that were the case, then we wouldn't be able to solve this trinket until we found the missing one. That solution seemed overly simplistic. I felt like there was some pattern I was seeing with the numbers, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. I spent some more time looking at all the trinkets. Some of the others had already split off to look for trinkets themselves. I was onto something. Suddenly I realized the pattern I had been overlooking. All the 4-digit codes with around a red number were divisible by 9. Every single one of them. Every 4-digit code with a red number wasn't. So that meant perhaps the red number was some sort of false number. And the real number would be the number that made the 4-digit code divisible by 9. Eh? So for the code 4376 with the number 6 in red, the real number should actually be 4. My theory was correct then. The minor trinket Ox found should end with a 4. I worked out the other red numbers and got the code 5x24. 5x24, huh? Now if I only had the last number, and it's divisible by 9, What was I talking about? All the codes were divisible by 9. I'd solved it. I'd pieced together an 11th trinket. Maybe. Honestly, a lot of my deduction was based off of guesswork. I had no assurance that I was actually right in my line of thinking. Well, there was really only one way of telling for sure. I went into an empty classroom and took out my tablet, pressed the item button, typed in 5724. When I submitted it, I was worried I would be met with an error. However, to my surprise and delight, the code had worked. Yes! I cheered audibly. What is it? Nox entered. You've been watching me work in silence for some time now. I figured it out. I just inputted the code for the 11th minor trinket. Oh? Well, good for you. It appears we'll be able to finish things in the next 2 rounds, thanks to you. Very solid work. Aw, thanks. However, I must say, weren't you supposed to use your ability on one of us? What now? Oh, well, you can use your ability. I'll move first, so you'll move 1 space after me. Then you can use the code I just inputted next round, and I'll use my ability on you. That should get everything sorted, right? Indeed, it should. And like that, we had a plan. After a brief celebration, we gathered everyone back at the cafeteria and told them the good news. Needless to say, everyone was very enthused that the nightmare would soon be over. Let's go! Thank God this will finally be over. This is almost poggers. I must say, there wasn't much of a climax to the action. Tension just kind of slowly fizzled out. Well, thank God for that. Anyways, I suppose that means we should all use a minor trinket this round, right? Correct. 2 more rounds and we're done. 2 more rounds. 2 more rounds, but it wasn't like there was anything to be worried about. There were no more obstacles in the way of group unity. People hung around in the general area of the cafeteria, going to private rooms to input their actions at their leisure. While there was still some tension, people were far calmer than they had been before. I heard a number of people breaking into conversations. I just don't get why my dog can't learn basic tricks. They're not hard at all. I could do them. See, this is why cats are better. They're just chill, like me. They don't do tricks and you don't expect them to. Tiger, have you been using positive reinforcement when teaching your dog a trick? What's that? It's training your brain to connect positive stimuli with a certain pattern of behavior. Pavlov actually made great strides in this field by... This is going to be boring, isn't it? I don't think so. So the answer's yes. Monkey frowned. Oh, sorry, Monkey. I guess I just don't get it. Aaron Morris did kill Amadeus Bowen, right? I thought that was proven. Of course he did. I proved that myself. There really isn't any other way for it to have gone. I investigated all the suspects myself. You included Mr. Rooster. To be honest, I thought it was the secretary at first. Good thing for her that that artist's testimony backs her up. So Snake alibied sheep. So it's all so clear. Why is this guy so sure his dad was innocent? Delusion, most likely. A son couldn't reconcile his nice father with the act of murder. His dad wasn't a bad person, so the bad people had to be elsewhere. A childish mindset through and through. Even if he killed Amadeus, that doesn't make the man a bad person. I mean, there's that saying about ill dead people or whatever. But fuck that dude. Mood, Rooster. He sucked big time. Really? I don't know so much about that. All I know is that the public certainly loved him. For once, Rooster's right. I certainly don't condone murder, but I don't exactly weep for Amadeus Bowen. For looking into the case, there are certainly many bad stories about that man. Ox gets it. Dipshit refused to ever invest any funding into my films. Artless cretin. Well, that wasn't exactly what I was referring to, but whatever. For the most part, I kept to myself. I was just going over everything in my head, overwhelmed by it all. The round ended, everyone moved 11 spaces except for Ox, who moved 10. That was that then. One more cycle would settle things. We were finally reaching an end. Enough time had passed, so I decided to go into a nearby classroom to input the code for my minor trinket. Finally, wait, aren't you supposed to use your skill? Finally, with this, the nightmare would be over. It was the last thing I needed to do to settle things once and for all. Oh, okay. I walked into the room and activated my ability on Ox. Simple as that. Things were now settled. However, before I could leave the room, a voice crackled on over the speakers. Well, are you happy, Mouse? Happy that you were all able to band together to finish things without any casualties? I imagine you aren't. You think so little of me. Mouse, you must understand, this too was an outcome I intended to be possible. Granted, I didn't think it likely. Still, it was always on the table. If you all were truly innocent of heart, you wouldn't be easily swayed by my words. You'd be calm, rational, work as a group, and evade the traps set for you. And we did just that? Doesn't that prove you wrong? Prove that you going through all this trouble was for nothing? Perhaps. However, I wonder how many times you would have had to fail before you could get a success like this. Had to fail? The hell does that mean? Had this outcome been the result of a cosmic dice roll, I was just wondering how many times God would have to roll these dice to see something like this. I imagine quite a few times. I imagine more often than not, your sin would doom you. Sounds like a lot of bullshit coming from a sore loser. I don't know how little you think of us, but I know for sure that no matter how many times you'd put us through this, we'd always band together. If you say so. You can only act smug for so long, Brian. Soon enough, we're going to be out of this place, and then you're going to jail for a long time. Indeed. I imagine the police won't look too favorably upon all this. My only regret is that I won't be able to land a punch on your face myself. You know, if you really want to, I'll let you. For a second, my body froze. What do you mean? Outside the school, there's a football field. It's a small building right beside the fence surrounding that field. I've been using that as my base of operations. So if you want to come find me, to get justice yourself, that's where I'll be. You're telling me this because? Think of it as a reward for a perfect victory. Do I look dumb to you? This smells of an obvious trap. No way in hell I'm gonna go there by myself. Suit yourself. Just thought you might like to know. With that, the speaker's cut off. Jeez, even after his game has failed, Brian still found ways to piss me off. What do you think he was doing telling me his location like that? It just didn't make any sense. Whatever. Why bother thinking about it for too long? I strode out of the classroom I had taken shelter in, back to the cafeteria. There, I continued to wait. As the round's deadline got closer, more and more people took excursions to separate rooms, all presumably inputting their code for their minor trinket, bringing them to victory. I didn't pay them too much mind. I was still busy fuming about Brian. However, something in particular caught my eye. That something was Dragon angrily pulling Snake down the hallway towards the very end of the round. That didn't look good. I knew it wasn't my place, but I thought it strange, not to mention a little disconcerting. Conflict of any kind this late in the game didn't sit well with me. I thought about following after them to see exactly what the matter was, to see if I could perhaps resolve it. What to do? We're going to intervene, naturally. I should really stop conflict of any kind at the head before it gets out of hand. In a delicate balance with lives in the balance. However slight the chance, I didn't want to be undone by people acting like children. So I followed Dragon and Snake into the classroom. There, they were already at their throats. I knew I didn't like you from the moment we woke up together. Now, at least I know why that's the case. Dragon, please, take a moment to consider how ridiculously you are acting right now. First of all, I am not even familiar with these scorpions in the first place. Hey, whoa, wake it up, you two. What the hell's going on right now? You stay out of it, Mouse. This business is between Snake and myself. No, I don't think it is. Just then the speakers in the room kicked on. I heard a sigh. You just had to interfere, didn't you, Mouse? Whatever. This works well enough, I suppose. What's that supposed to mean? Instead of answering, I heard movements around my neck. What? Movements? The only thing that should be moving on that part of my body was... Oh. I felt the pain before I realized what was about to happen. It was excruciating. I never felt anything like it before. I never would again. This was the last thing I'd feel in my life. This absurd pain of the knives entering my neck. the blackness surrounding me as my senses fled. The confusion as to what even was happening. Normally I'd be outraged by the unfairness of it all. For that to be the case, I'd have to be in a state where I could think straight enough to realize that it wasn't fair. Instead, all I felt was pain. Until I didn't. Ace of Hearts. Almost there. We're nearly there. However, Mouse's presence in the fight between Snake and Dragon will muddy things up. It's a better way to deal with her. Oh? Interesting. Actually, I assume if we don't unlock this... Okay, good. And then for the password... Gosh, thought I might do it. However, the computer wouldn't budge. Must have been wrong. Still, there had to be something big on these computers. I should work with the one already open. Sure, all that seemed to be open was a single PNG file, but there could be more on the system. In the way to the computer and start digging around the system. And though it took me a bit, I did discover something interesting when I tried to log out. Something very curious indeed. Oh, unfortunately I would never be able to relay that information, because right as I was putting things together in my head, I felt hands around my throat. I tried to fight it, obviously, but my assailant had the element of surprise and an iron will on their side. At the very least, I was able to lay eyes on my attacker. And it surprised me. It really did. Not because of who my killer was. No, it was because my killer wasn't the person who should have been trying to hide what I had just found out. So why bother killing me? A nice mystery to ponder as my consciousness and life slid from my body. Ace of Diamonds. If Mouse pokes around the computers too much, she might catch that late fix. Mouse is clever, and likely realized that the computer pokes a hole in the story they've been fed. Her getting killed before she can relay that to the rest of the group is the best case scenario. Well, that's interesting. So the late fix feels like the whole Mouse taking the place of the judge. Because that was the remaining role. And maybe she... Could say, because then again... Didn't really find any... Like, she'd had to lock the computer to see the icon for the mouse. Or the rat. If that was the case. So it might not have been that. But... Something that either indicated that she had nothing to do with this, or I don't know, actually. Something that shakes up the core of the game itself. And then that raises the question of who kills her then. There are weird things going on here. Dragon and Snake fighting, and Mouse getting killed for interfering. Dragon, I should say Mouse, finding out something on the judge computer. And getting killed by someone she wasn't expecting. Makes me wonder if it wasn't someone who's a part of the game right now. In the first case, it might have been Ox. In the first bad ending, it might have been Ox, but it's hard to say. As Ox is the accomplished person. No. Yeah. And Ox doesn't have a reason to come forward. It could have also been the ultimate traitor. Whether it's a 13th person, the cat, or if it's someone in the game who's been working with Brian all along. Like Monkey, perhaps. Could have been Monkey. I still wonder about Monkey. I still wonder about her. I don't really have any other ideas beyond that. Monkey and Snake are probably my two biggest suspects right now, if it's someone in the group. Top three traitor suspects. Number 1, the 13th animal. Number 2, Monkey. Number 3, Snake. Both seem to have enough of a personal relationship with Brian that they could theoretically be in cahoots. I suppose Snake gets bonus points in this particular case for being pulled into something suspicious this late in the game. Monkey's key points were from her ending, when she goes McFrickin' wild. So, oh baby, we still have a lot of questions to be answered. We sure do. We'll get to that next time. Until then, happy 30th video in the series.